own. So I deployed to Haiti in the immediate aftermath. I remember standing on the tarmac of what used to be an airfield before the military came and kind of got it up and running again. And there's a gentleman laying on a stretcher on the ground beside me with burns to over 50% of his body, and folks were debating where that gentleman needed to go to get life-saving treatment. And nobody in the debate had any technology or tracking information to get the answers they needed. And then a few days later, I had the opportunity to go visit one of the cluster groups of the United Nations you heard folks talk about, where one voluntary organization would say, well, I've got food, but no truck. And somebody else said, oh, I've got a truck, but I don't have any food. And the only way they were able to resolve those kind of issues were face-to-face once a day, because none of them had the tracking technology to communicate with each other between those meetings. And then on the third day, as I lugged around a 75-pound satellite communication kit everywhere I went, I felt this buzzing on my hip, and it was my BlackBerry, and it hadn't worked up to that point. And it was a text message that said, I'm Jason from AT&T, and somebody in Washington, D.C. told me to give you extended international text messaging. And from that moment on, I shared it with 20, 30 other people who were engaged in life-saving efforts. And so as a guy on the ground, how much I appreciate that kind of technology to help us do better things. Like I say, it's life-saving. So it's with great pleasure on a personal and professional level that I get to introduce this panel to talk about tracking in a crisis. And so we have here today Prem Ramaswamy from Google, Eddie Pickle, the Senior Vice President from OpenGeo, and George Reyes, the COO and Executive Vice President from Pay Cargo. And we'll start with Prem. So.
Hey everyone, my name is Prem Ramaswamy. I'm a product manager at Google working on some of our crisis response and disaster management teams. Over at Google, we have been looking at what Google can do to basically complement and help both aid workers, victims of disasters on the ground, and the general diaspora or the general public who's interested in helping out in whatever way possible. So I'd like to start off by talking about Google in general. Our mission as a company is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful to individuals. Our .org mission is to take a lot of what Google does, our engineering core, and apply it kind of in areas where we can really have an effect on the world. And we basically have been doing this via landing pages so far with regards to disasters. And so this is a picture of our Haiti landing page where we provide geoimagery. We built a few tools around it, which I'll go into detail, and offered a lot of products and a lot of the opportunity for user-generated content. So here's an example of one such map, and you'll see a lot of layers on the left specific to Haiti that help you kind of understand the damage assessments and other things that have been taken from different organizations and show this information in a way that many organizations can easily access it. This is the same sort of map that you saw after the Chile earthquake. What's interesting here is instead of us getting information specifically from aid organizations, the best maps were actually created by people on the ground in Chile, victims of the disasters themselves actually. This is a most recent map that we had around the oil spill in the Gulf Coast. And so you can see, again, this is information coming from all ends of areas, both the government, you have imagery from the LA Bucket Brigade, from NOAA and many other organizations. I want to show you some imagery that really makes a point. This is pre-earthquake imagery from 6 months before the earthquake of the Pétionville Club in Haiti. It's a golf club, and what you're looking at is 9 holes right there. What I'm going to show you next is imagery a few days after the earthquake. And what you're seeing right now is a few tents that have started showing up on the golf course. And this is on January 13th, so actually this is, I think, 24 to 48 hours right after the earthquake. And what you're going to see next is 13 days after the earthquake. So the image itself speaks a lot as to the problems and the magnitude of the problems that we're experiencing on the ground there. But it's not just in Haiti. We see the same sort of before and after imagery in China, which you can see right here, where beforehand you have buildings that are standing and afterwards you have just rubble. And a lot of this right now is hand organized by individuals who are actually going out there and creating maps and understanding what's going on and placing points. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here for us to work forward. In addition to that, our group was able to create a person finder application, which was one of the things that we were able to do initially with Katie, bringing a group together to get the same databases, that we weren't working with 14 different solid databases. I think this is an opportunity we have to make sure we share data properly. Finally, I wanted to talk about our map maker tool. What you're seeing here is pictures of Burma before and after Cyclone Nargis. What you're seeing is the amount of roads that were written in because of users out there who were able to generate the content and draw on the roads. We also have a product called Flu Trends, which helps people understand kind of the rate and increase of diseases around our flu specifically around the US, and we work closely with the CDC and other government organizations. It's another form of tracking and correlating information. And finally, I wanted to talk about Open Data Kit, which is based on our Android phones and allows, it was created in conjunction with the University of Washington, and it's a tool that basically allows people to collect information in the field and come back and sync it with back-end databases. Again, a lot of these are just ways that we can explore on how we can help. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out at the end was, we're looking at other ways that we can help NGOs in this space. One of the things that I was saying earlier is we want to be very careful to be complementary in this area. And so we're very curious to understand what are the things that NGOs, aid workers, people on the ground, all of you who've had experiences in Haiti are interested in learning and areas where we can provide help, whether they be platforms or technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Preem. My name is Eddie Pickle. I'm with OpenGeo. I also, many of you have met Alyssa Wright, who's my colleague who's here, and Galen Evans, who's with our sponsor and partner, the World Bank. And I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in collaborative mapping and data sharing, where we're coming from, the GeoNode data collection, and invite you guys to participate in geonode.org. A lot of people have been talking about what do we do the next time around, and that's kind of what the focus is today in my presentation. The early inspiration for this, we are, at the time of the earthquake and for the past several months, we've been working with the CAPRA organization, which is the Central American Probabilistic Risk Assessment. It's an ongoing initiative to develop and enhance a set of free and open source tools to understand, communicate, and support decision making. Of course, Central America is not Haiti, but we've been reaching out to that. There are many natural hazards that affect the Central American area everywhere from earthquake to hurricane, intense rain, volcano. And these natural hazards are the subject of what we're interested in terms of our risk modeling. The hazard effects and the exposure, how many people are there, and their vulnerability, what kind of structures they have, equals the risk. And so we're trying to help organizations understand the risk involved. And we're trying to both promote the use of, a better use of spatial data infrastructure, SDIs, which I'm going to talk about, and collaborative mapping, the kinds of volunteer data that you all might have to identify the exposure better and to utilize that in your applications. One of the big problems that we all face is that in the third world, particular in areas all over the world in general, spatial data infrastructure is a necessary but not sufficient component for us to identify exposure data. And we've got to do a better job at getting people to have the data, volunteer their data, and do something for people who've got data. And so we're trying to exploit architectures of participation, the kind of Wikipedia phenomenon that people have seen, where people who have there's a social and technical connection between people to contribute data. We've got a lot of web portals stood up around the world, Inspire, geodata.gov here in the United States, that are great repositories, but there's not enough benefits for users. They don't recognize people who've got data. They don't give enough immediate value. They use a stick, not a carrot approach. So what we're trying to develop is a concept called GeoNode, where the user is at the center, and we provide a compelling and relevant reason for them to contribute their data and give them something back in return, and also make it easier for them to stand up their data in the first place. It's about collaboration, distribution, better cartography, immediate good mapping for them, and support of the data collection process. I probably got ahead of myself there. In collaboration, we want to make it super simple for people to share data, provide statistics on who's using my data, give you an opportunity to comment, rate, tag, just like you would in any other Web 2.0 application. We want to provide collaborative filtering, the ability for your agency to endorse certain data and that sort of thing, to make it easy for you to distribute data so that once somebody has got their data and stands it up, it's immediately distributed in a wide basis. And specifically, that it will automatically create the metadata that's needed for other people to understand your data. We want to give the users a better cartographic set of capabilities so that not only are they standing up their data, but they can get an immediate map product out of it, something that will enable them to depict their data in the way that it tells the story the way they want to tell it. We want to focus on exposure data in the data collection process here. So that, in particular, we're looking at things that, the hazard data is pretty ubiquitously available across the world. But the problem is, as we saw in Haiti and we see in other places in Central America, there's not enough data on exposure. So what we're building in the GeoNode is a series of free and open source and standards-based tools from the database level with PostGIS, GeoServer, standing up, distributing the data, GeoWebCache to Tilet, GeoAXT, along with Django and other Web 2.0 tools that make the collaboration work. And what we are hoping is that organizations, particularly throughout Central America, but then in other areas like within Haiti, for example, will be able to put up a portal wherever they might have an enterprise GIS system. And this will enable more of a bottom-up data collection to supplement the top-down data collection, so that spatial data infrastructures that the country might have are reinforced and work very well with the other open and volunteer data. We want to develop tools and workflows we are developing tools and workflows for data integration, and we're going to try and align that so that the amateur people can work very well with the governmental people. And lastly, I want to leave you with what we're doing in Haiti right now. The World Bank has collected a great deal of data on damage data and hazard data for Haiti. And if you're interested in being able to access that data, just give me or Galen your card, and I'm not quite sure where the URL is going to be for this. But for example, you can run reports, you can get the imagery data that they've collected, you can get the shapefile data on risks and hazards and the damages that exist right now, so that in the coming months you'll be able to reduce the risk and do your work more effectively in Haiti. And that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Susan, for allowing me to come and speak here. My name is George Reyes. I am the CEO and Executive Vice President of Pay Cargo. Basically, what we do, just to let you know, is everybody's talking here about SMS and bringing text messages. Well, we assisting bringing SOS to Haiti. We are committed to helping the contractors that are sending supplies over to Haiti and getting them faster, getting them seamlessly, effectively, and getting them quicker, and costing the government less money, if possible. We are able to do that by simplifying the process of getting the invoices that are, because in the government there's a lot of issues with papers and all electronic and how that works. And we're able to get that by automating that process of getting the invoices electronically over to the government, and be able to pre-fund these accounts, where we are able to go in and say someone needs to get something over to Haiti right away. We're able to pre-fund that and actually get it before the government actually pays money. And in a lot of cases, we're able to reduce the way where getting the actual contracts in a less cost effectively to be able to get the information out there. We're a first data company. Slide's going a little quickly. First data company. We are number 250 in the Fortune 500. We are number 1 in financial data services. We basically are here to help out the people getting the stuff over to Haiti quicker. There is no cost for the hardware or software to purchase. It's available 24/7. You have electronic submissions of invoices, and it eliminates paper, all going with that green effect of getting all the elimination of paper. We have internal workflow process, administrative roles, extensive alert notification, getting emails letting you know where things are, when things are arriving, when things are getting paid. We're able to track all that information. It eliminates all the manual process because it's all electronic. There is no lost or misplaced invoices of saying, hey, I never received your invoice, you can't get paid. That doesn't happen. No overnight mail charges. Again, all this stuff that costs way too much, and we could actually eliminate all that. Going back to a little bit of rapid funding, again, we could pre-advance the funding over to any contractor sending goods to Haiti. So they don't have to wait the 30 some odd days that it takes for the government to pay. We're able to pay for it right away. These are one of the slides of the actual transaction saying, government, here's what I need. It's all electronic, all the attachments are there for us to get funded and paid. Basically the government will say, okay, we go ahead and approve it, instead of actually mailing back and forth and sending invoices back and forth. It's all electronic, it's all done in the system. We're ability to to have small vendors that don't have the resources to hold off 30 some odd days, we're able to pre-fund them and actually be able to get these bids to get to a normal level instead of the high cost that it's costing the government now. You could put the whole attached file of your complete file inside the system without having to do any storage or anything. This is basically letting you know that the government has approved it. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows it's been approved. You have the money, and there is no, where are we in the process? We have a direct online communication and e-notes for problem solution. We are SOX compliance. We have the redundancy, complete voucher history, data history for 7 years. You're able to go back at any time and see what happened with that invoice, who paid it, what happened with it. Here you're able to see, you can be able to sort by any vouchers or invoices and go in and say, okay, I'm looking for this voucher or invoice. I need to find out what happened, where are all the attachments, where is it. It's basically your audit history all in the system. Going back to a little bit of what we do again is the rapid payment of being able to pre-fund these contractors with money right away to get the stuff to Haiti much quicker than it is right now. It's a friendly automated system. It's extremely easy to use. Complete audit history, dual visibility, both you and the government sees exactly what it is at any given time, and ultimately getting the goods to the Haitian people faster, which is our ultimate goal. Thank you again, and basically we want to get the Haitian people on their feet and get their government running again. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Hopefully that ignited some interest and topics for conversation. So Suzanne, if you want to lead us through question and answers, you said offline.
Thanks. So let's start with a question from the online community. Matt, do you want to share one with us, and I'll bring the mic to you, since we owe them for being so patient.
Thank you. Real quick from the chat room on our live stream, one of the questions for Google was, when was the last time the Haiti map was updated, and what's the process of the update for that?
I'm not sure on the exact date. I believe it's been updated in the last few weeks. I'm not sure when the last imagery was. I believe it's about a few weeks old right now. There's a blog post on our Google Lat Long blog, which is our Google kind of maps, all thing maps and Earth related. The process for that is we basically source the imagery from third parties. So for us, this imagery I believe that we got most recently was from the GOI satellite. And so one of the things that we do is we depend on these companies. When the satellite comes overhead, there's a lack of cloud coverage, things like that. So there needs to be a lot of things that fall into place properly for us to get a good set of imagery that then we can push through our pipeline and make sure that we can show to our end users.
One more question from the chat room here is, people want to know how to help. They've got Facebook pages and things like that with college-age people and recent grads. Is there anything they can do on social media, things like that?
So I think you've heard a lot of the tools that have been presented today, ranging from the Ushahidi tool, a lot of the translator tools that you've seen that have been pushed out, the ability for basically people out there to get involved in the crisis comments and crisis mappers communities. And I'd encourage a lot of people to start doing that on the college level, because I think it's important that you build out this community, and that when people go to their, whatever industries they end up in, out of college, that they can start figuring out how their industry can help out in situations like this directly. And I think this panel is a good example of that.
I'd like just to add to that. So we focus, rightly so in this environment, on the technology of how to answer a question, but I don't like to ever lose the humanity of a question. So, I've been around a lot of disasters for a lot of time. I've deployed a lot. And what I found is there's two ways people can help that they don't think of. One, there are disasters that don't always draw the most attention, or parts of disasters that don't draw the most attention. And secondly, there are any disaster has a long shelf life. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So everybody I've ever met wants to help on the biggest disaster in the immediate response. But go to Haiti now. They need help now. So if you couldn't help in the first few weeks and you couldn't get on one of those first planes, go now or do something now, because for the people whose lives are impacted, it's still happening.
Thank you, Dan. That's an awesome point. Any questions from the audience? Sir.
Thank you. what a great segue to my question, because I am going to Haiti on Thursday. My goal is more on the addressing the issue of the children and the displaced children who need hope, something to believe in, something to look forward to. I am working with one laptop per child and trying to get sponsorship in order to get laptops, well, these laptops, to the school. My question to you is, how do you address the criticisms regarding such investments in education in Haiti when, as you just mentioned, so much devastation and so much emergency need at the time? The major criticism I've heard is, why are we focusing so much on education? Why are we focusing so much on investing in those kinds of resources when people need emergency aid now? I like to think that it should not be a sequential solution. It should be a parallel one. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you provided a great answer in the embodiment of your question. I would take it from two perspectives. I used to be a high school English teacher, so I'm already sold on the idea that education is the beginning solution to everything. But the other part I would give you, being in the emergency management business more than the technology business, is there is that continuous cycle. So they tell you in risk and crisis communications that crisis communications happens at that fulcrum point. Risk communication happens all the time and through it. And that's when studies have shown you have the most attention. So if we want to wait a year to educate folks, they won't care as much. We absolutely have to educate now in the midst of a crisis.
Question?
Yes. I went to Haiti March 22nd. I spent about 2 weeks. What I found, there are a lot of people migrating out of Port-au-Prince to the outside of Haiti. Those people are putting a lot of pressure on the family that they didn't have much in the first place. So anybody who would like to volunteer, I would encourage, most people concentrate in Port-au-Prince. My concern is, how do we find a way to keep the population that migrate outside of Port-au-Prince and keep them outside of Port-au-Prince so that the next quake, we won't lose 250,000 people. We'll keep those young people, able people in the countryside of Haiti. And those of you who are, if you are not working with an organization, put a small group together. They have children. You can do professional development. Another thing we would like to encourage, those of you who have the technical skills to do permaculture. Let's stop talking about how poor Haiti is. Let's start talking about how rich Haiti is. Haiti has the sun. Solar power technology is, you have wind, and you have 10 million people. Take the example of China. If we empower 10 million people in a small country like Haiti, we won't lose 250,000 people in the next crisis.
Amen.
Thank you.
Hey, Dan. One thing I did want to note about that is that to the extent that that question is at least partly answered by where people relocate, where reinvestment occurs, is risk mitigation figured into that at all is an important consideration now. And one of the things that we need to look at as we go forward is what we're going to try and do is make it easy for people to get the data that they need to understand the risk that's involved as they make a rebuilding effort, whether that would be in the central core or outside in the periphery, so that they can make an investment that builds redundancy, that helps build a sustainable economy, and that's not so exposed to a tremendous risk going forward.
Mathieu?
Yes, I just want to make a plea for one of the locations she's talking about in Haiti that people don't often know about. It's called Léogane. And I was one of the first people to take the 82nd Airborne to Léogane, and it was sad that 90% of the city is flat. And 2 weeks later, no one helped them. And it's just like she was saying, Haiti is more than Port-au-Prince. A lot of people, that's all they hear about, Port-au-Prince. And there's a lot of opportunities outside of Haiti to help. And just anyone that wants to help in Haiti, don't know how to do it. I do have the resources on the ground of Haiti. I do have resources. I have offices. I have locations. And I can also provide security. So I have people.
You know, thanks for offering that. And if you want to give me contact information after this, I'd like to talk to you further. I'll use my brother as a quick example here of the challenges of response and recoveries outside of major cities. He works for a nonprofit organization called Building Goodness Foundations. They're building in that town right now. How did they get there? When everybody called and said, give me a free plane ride in, and nobody does that, they got creative. They went through Dominican Republic, got on a truck, and they found their way in and started doing good. So there are people who want to do good, and we just all have to use the technology to share that information better with people and keep educating.
Hi, my name is Bill Shipley. When I heard the topic of tracking in a crisis, the first thing that came to my mind was, what's being done to create like a national registry of all the kids who are still being born in this tragedy, and children who are dying, or individuals who are dying? I'm hearing all the technology about SMS and all that, but what's being done for the folks who are living right now? So, you know, if the infrastructure is destroyed, what's being put in place?
So we know that our person finder tool that we built was used to some extent for people on the ground to understand the status of loved ones. Now there's a lot of records without notes, which means there are a lot of people who still don't know that status. In the first week, I'm sure everyone else saw the news reports also that there were mass burials and things like that occurring. At this, I think one of the other things that we've seen is open source tools like that can be taken by organizations. We know one or two have taken them to use them privately to be able to track children in specific IEP camps. The harder problem becomes, national registry programs and national ID programs and things like that are even, politically hot topics here in the U.S. And in Haiti, where the government is having so many other problems, it seems to have been one of the things that has fallen off the list. I know that we did hear of a group that had done a large voter registration drive before the previous election, and now it's going to be, I think, a challenge, and it's going to be a large part of kind of, in my opinion, the government's work more than NGOs' work to figure out how to go about reconstituting whatever that national ID program might look like.
Matthew Taylor with Intel Corporation. Very pleased to hear the earlier speakers talking about OpenStreetMaps and you folks talking about your work in mapping. My interest is in making mapping more accessible to people on the ground. So the question has to do with store and forward or synchronization capabilities that would enable folks to do their own GPS traces and their own capture of data, as well as to synchronize the data that they want and then utilize it. So in other words, get online, synchronize, get offline, and continue. So I was talking with Jeff from Instead. He had mentioned GLPDF, but interested, is there a way for us, or is there already an effort to kind of make that, or is that what GeoNode is doing? Is there a store and forward component to that?
There isn't right now, but that we should talk afterwards. That's, a lot of the action I was talking to him right now is in offline and in tracking and in mobile applications. So there's a great, it's an open, and of course what we're talking about here, and I want to also say one thing about the people in universities right now who are coming out of universities. One of the great things about open source communities is that you can start participating right now. There's no credentialization that has to occur. So there is a lot of work going on today in that area, and it's just a matter of like participating in it, contributing back, understanding the community.
Excellent. So again, I'd like to see this a kit made because the devices are starting to have GPS embedded in them, so that'd be great.
I just wanted to make 2 points just because I've lived in the wonk world of Haiti for the past few months. In terms of development outside of Port-au-Prince, I would refer you to the national plan that the government put forward because the government of Haiti is going to need everyone's help on this. In the plan, they identify several poles outside of Haiti where they want to see development, be it through ports or factories or whatnot. You can actually find that plan at HaitiConference.org. And other resources exist there, including the pledges that were made at the March 30th donor conference, which also have a tracking dashboard that if you look at and have feedback on and want to help make better, please, that's great. The other piece is that UNICEF has been trying to register children, but I welcome any advice that any of you all have in terms of how we can bolster efforts. I think adults as well, perhaps, but with the President Preval has said he would like to see elections before the end of the year. So this is going to be an issue that is going to be extremely timely, and we have great international partners like the OAS who are seasoned veterans at this. But any advice is welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Caitlin. Gilles.
Yes, excuse me, thank you. Gilles Charleston again. I guess one comment first is that National Archives is not destroyed in Haiti, so that's still working. My question goes to Mr. Dan Stonekin in regards to FEMA. First, I know the U.S. responded very well to the crisis and was one of the first country on the ground, and I think everybody commended that. But in terms of FEMA's involvement, as we know, a country like Haiti, there hasn't been a lot of planning and management of the future. And looking at FEMA and the experience FEMA has in terms of tackling natural disasters in the United States, that is great knowledge and great experience that could help and lend a hand to Haiti. Now, I did not hear much about the involvement of FEMA in the current crisis, so I don't know if there was any. I would like you to touch upon that. And the second part is in terms of the future, the planning and preparation for the next disasters. How is FEMA actively involved to empower Haiti, both on the public sector side, the government, but also in the general public side as well? Is there anything going on, any activities or initiatives going on for the private sector, for the citizens to be aware and be able to manage disaster in a better prepared manner in the future? Thank you.
Shut me off. Thank you very much for the question. By our mission statement, FEMA has no official role. But when people are in need, who cares about a mission statement? So USAID called and asked for our help within the first few hours, and we started getting people on planes. There were several hundred of us there. Most of us didn't wear our FEMA blue because it wasn't about us. It was about helping. I was part of a small team that set up a joint information center. We replicated something that we know how to do well in the United States, and we were able to set it up there, integrate with the State Department, USAID, the Haitian government, and others to start spreading the word and communicating and informing folks what was being done on their behalf. But we also had search and rescue teams. I arrived in the middle of the night with one of the first search and rescue teams, incident management teams, and so there's literally hundreds of FEMA people who deployed and thousands more back here helping not only from our offices, but sort of deployed in other locations in DC to assist the State Department and USAID. We're doing that same kind of thing in the Gulf oil spill that doesn't currently meet our mission statement. There's no declared disaster request from a governor yet to FEMA. But we know that business, so we help a lot behind the scenes. And to answer the second part of your question, a good friend of mine, Michael Byrne, just got back today and invested the last few months not just continuing the response and recovery, but working side by side with counterparts in the Haitian government to say, here's how we do this. And by the way, he was our best and our brightest. And we dedicated him for the last few months to Haiti because we wanted to send our best to share those lessons learned. And he just got back this morning. I know it was a personally enriching experience for him, but he spent a lot of time sharing everything he knows with folks on the ground.
Dan, thanks. We have time for one more question. So this is from Haiti Connect via Ireland.
Hi, yeah, my name is Avert Bob. I work for an organization called Haiti Connect. We're based in Ireland, but we do obviously work in Haiti. I came back from Haiti a few weeks ago. Now, it's not so much a question that I have, but more in common watching on panel discussions and that today. What appears is everybody's doing, first of all, fantastic work, and it's great to see all these people here. But the result of all these initiatives is there's lots of pools of information available. And one of the things I noticed when I was in Haiti, and I spoke to a lot of people in different organizations, is that quite often I got the question is, okay, this organization is doing this, they provide an update each day, that organization provides an update. There is a need for a pool to bring all that together and disseminate it to all the organizations available. So the communication between the different initiatives and the different organizations could be improved. And that's basically something that I would like to see happen, and if I can help, obviously, I'm more willing to do that. But all this information, like the stuff that's going on by SMS messaging, the different initiatives, that information, what's shared, like what are people's needs, what are the organizational needs, what are the availabilities, etc., to create a central source of gathering all that information and disseminating it all the organizations working out in the field. Now, we're doing only a small part. We're bringing internet access to areas in Haiti, Port-au-Prince, using that as a channel to basically make communication, information exchange possible. There's other organizations doing that. We're not the only one in Haiti doing that. There's somebody from Invenio here who's doing the same stuff and who have a lot more experience been doing this in these kind of areas for years. But I think that's something that we really need to work together on sharing the information more directly so that we can proactively work on needs or availabilities. One example, for instance, really early when I got involved, it was great to see so many people using Twitter, but I saw a Twitter exchange between somebody going, okay, I'm in this area, we have, or I have, it was actually an individual, I have some access, some surplus food, and somebody else tweeted, I need food, and they turned out they were only 2 miles from each other. Third person who was following both of those people, connected them, they hooked up, they shared the food. That is just the strength of communication, and I think we really need to get something going there where all the information is shared and acted upon. And by the way, if there's anybody here working in Haiti who needs internet connectivity or works for a Haitian organization, all that, come talk to me.
Thank you. Dan.
If I could just respond through my closing comment, because you just segued exactly where I wanted to close, aside from thanking my panel here for joining us here today. We used to have a world where nobody talked about the important issues, and we've moved to a world where everyone's talking about everything all the time, so we almost compete with each other. There's 12 wikis on the topic, and 17 Twitters, and 19 GIS-enabled systems. So, my challenge to collective bodies like this, to Crisis Camp and others, as everybody's breaking the codes and the individual technologies, is how to synchronize them and synchronize them with the subject matter experts. Because there's also sometimes the technology living in one sphere and the meat of the answer living in another sphere. So to marry up all of that is, I think, the great challenge of our day. So I really appreciate that as a final question.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Guys, thank you so much. We are now going to move to our next panel. Empowering Haitians through mobile banking. We're also going to hear about mobile giving. We are joined by several fantastic people who have been very patient with us today with a change of schedule. I'd like to introduce our moderator, Judy Payne, who's the e-commerce and e-business advisor at USAID. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you, Suzanne. Well, I don't want to stand between you and our interesting speakers because we have the Red Cross, Mobile Accord, and 1 Cent to speak with you. But I wanted to just spend just a minute. Mobile money, mobile banking can be very confusing. USAID has been working with these different techniques to bring financial services to the poor for many years. And in Haiti, we actually have a project on the ground called High Five. Don't ask me why it's called High Five. That is been focusing on financial inclusion for the poor for over a year and continues to. We're working with that project. They've already been working with the cell phone providers and third-party providers of services to use ICT, information communications technologies, which includes mobile banking, to increase access to financial services for the poor. They're well engaged right now, and we are in Washington are also working with them to leverage the interest of others and to encourage, incent, and provide technical advice and support to the third-party providers, the cell phone providers themselves that are moving ahead with mobile banking, as with others that provide platforms and third-party services, and the banking sector itself. So mobile money essentially is when you can use your cell phone to store value on your phone in a secure way and be able to make payments to peers, that is from one person to another, domestically and internationally. So I won't go into any more of a definition of it than that. It can get pretty complicated. But right now we're looking at ways that we can leverage mobile grant making and actually collecting donations using a mobile service for Mobile Accord, and then leveraging that to something that we hope will be a scalable mobile money and eventually a mobile banking system for Haiti. That's not something that's easy. Only one country in the world has really succeeded at that, and that is Kenya with their M-Pesa system. But we've worked with many other countries, and actually in Zambia, we've worked especially carefully with them, helping to scale for smallhold farmers. It's very complex to try to get these services to actually scale to millions of Haitians or millions in any country. So I look forward to our panelists to help us understand these challenges. So I think Mobile Accord is first.
Good morning. I think we're almost out of this. I'm Brad Blanken. I really appreciate the opportunity to come speak with you today. I can't, it won't be the first, but I'll be the next to really acknowledge the Katies and the Suzannes that have really made this day possible, but really made the whole event possible. When we talk about Mobile Accord, we're going to talk a little bit about the company's interaction with Haiti, and I'll give you a little quick overview on the company in general. We are really focused on a social agenda or making positive change using technology all over the world. We operate a number of different divisions of the company. I'm going to focus on two in particular for today's talk, but as you can see, it'll be a common theme, and what I want to try to create for us today is an idea that there's a platform, and there's a solutions enabled off the top of this platform that creates really an opportunity to make good domestically and internationally. So we do a lot of services here, we do a lot of services in other parts of the world. MGive is our domestic-facing social giving or mobile giving environment. A lot of you guys are focused or heard about us because we did the text Haiti to 90999 for the Red Cross. So we raised about $40 million for Haiti relief via mobile. The ecosystem's pretty straightforward. You got people making donations on their cell phone, collected through the carriers. The history of mobile giving is one that we've been a part of since its inception. And as you can see from these numbers here, it's just a real watershed moment in the pure definition of what we've seen through the Haiti relief. And it's like Katie has told some of you, or if you heard the story, that this was a phone call in the middle of the night to the founder of the company in Pakistan who woke me up and said, let's go and let's run a program. We turned the program up and everybody's using it. So some, including some of our bosses. But the highlights on the Text Haiti program, just very quickly. Again, we turned the program on in an hour and a half. By the time we woke up in the morning, we'd raised a couple $100,000, $2.5 million the first day, $5.5 million the next day. We powered the George Clooney telethon that first Friday night, and we started seeing the proliferation of the messaging at every turn. This call to action generated $800,000 in donations in less than an hour. And this was the kind of thing that we're continuing to see today. I did a quick search on Twitter last night, and we're continuing to see that trend. This is an illustration of where the monies came in and how they came in. The spikes from the Twitter and the social media has been the constant at the bottom. The CNN was the Larry King event when we first started. The NFL at the top was that call to action during the playoffs. But we're still seeing the donations pouring in. We see them across the country, some relatively consistent numbers. As you look at the donations by state, we have a lot of reporting access that if you text the word report to 90999, you can have a copy of the report. As a highlight, the things that made a difference is, first of all, Katie making the phone call. The First Lady's call to action was the thing that legitimized the program. People were saying, well, I didn't really believe it was legitimate, and then I saw the First Lady, so I started doing it. And that was the impetus for us to move on our mobile banking platform to support the issuance or delivery of monies to the people on the ground. So part of the core platform that collects and manages donations to the states is our Air Credit platform from a mobile banking perspective. So it's an interoperable, carrier agnostic, and banking agnostic platform that allows for the issuance, remittances, transfers, and payments of the services. So a basic transaction is all done on an SMS bearer. So you have the ability to transfer and collect money via cell phone, via text. So as someone earlier had mentioned, it's a least common denominator approach that you're able to know that the majority of the people, if not everyone today, is using texting, text-capable handsets, and that they're able to leverage this core technology. We all have some phones, smartphones, you can do application and services, a little bit more sophistication, but SMS is really the bearer that works out. So when you look at it from the NGO community looking to issue grants, or you look from the bank community to offer services to the end subscriber, and then the carrier community stepping up and offering the connectivity and the bearer. So generally the way the process worked for the collection and distribution of the data is that there is an opportunity for NGO community members to go and do a needs assessment, import that data into the platform, pass the information on, and issue the grants. The recipient receives the message. They're then able to go to a bank, get the money out, or they could be transferring it to a peer, family members across the country, or they could offer the services. This is an actual picture of it working on the ground in Franco Zé in the area, so it's a pretty light web interface that we were training the bank on, and this picture actually issuing money to a Haitian. This is the picture of the future, and what I want to leave you with again is this mobile banking platform is an opportunity to create an awareness and a level of sophistication that isn't existing. It wasn't here in the States either. People didn't recognize that you could send and donate on your cell phone. Now we're seeing that it's a reality for that. And I don't know Scott's slides. I can't talk to Scott's slides.
Thanks, Brad. And I'm Scott DiPertoro with the American Red Cross. We work with Brad down in Haiti and a whole host of others. I'm here today to talk about cash transfer programming and utilizing technology to get the text that you send here in the US down into the hands of a Haitian that's in need. And so we're using cash transfer programming here in the US domestically. We're using technology through Visa. Every day we're providing debit cards to families that have been affected, and we load up a value based on a damage assessment, activate the card, they can go out and buy what they need. Cash programming provides choice, empowerment, and multiplier effects throughout the economy. Internationally, traditionally, we do distributions of goods. We ship them from point A to point Z. Many places in between, high operational cost. We're starting to use cash transfer programming more and more internationally. Some of the issues that Red Cross faced in Haiti were the pipelines were congested, security issues at the distribution sites during the assessments as well, and thus that greatly affected the speed of the distribution. And as you could see, the needs were very great. And so we started this initiative to look at cash programming. We went out to the markets, are the goods available, what's the inflation, what do the people need? Going through the settlements, tent by tent with the local Red Cross to see what people actually need. We wanted to complement the in-kind distributions. You can't replace that. Still need to ship in those tarps, blankets, ropes, kitchen sets that they can't procure on the local market. But if we can provide cash, they can go in and procure what they have not received, school books, et cetera. Also, we're looking to provide a high impact with the cash programming, 90999. You text it to the Red Cross. We can text that back out to a Haitian family, and we can get out maybe 90 cents on the dollar versus 50 cents if you're providing relief distributions. Targeting is a challenge. I heard someone earlier today speak about the looking to depopulate Port-au-Prince. If you start doing a large-scale cash distribution in the camps, people might get pulled in. Also, we're coordinating with other agencies that we're also doing cash programming. Main challenge, though, is the delivery mechanism. How are you going to get cash out to all of these people when providing a box is difficult in itself? So the opportunity of cell phones. We found that 95% of the more of the households had a cell phone in the settlements. The system capacity, when you're determining the delivery mechanism, the lines at the banks were very long. It took them time to get back online. What is the financial literacy of the people in the settlements? Do they know how to use the mobile phones, texting, literacy to read the messages, et cetera? So we started to look at the different options. Working through the banks, we could do a payroll type system. We could work through Visa, issue debit cards, how many ATMs are available. Mobile banking. That's something that the carriers in Haiti have been working on for a year and a half or more, lobbying with the central bank, trying to get the regulatory structure in place. E-wallet, that's a great idea, but is it socialized yet? And so it's very challenging for us, and I agree with Judy, it's very complex, mobile banking. A lot of competition issues, and so it's difficult as a humanitarian organization to work through that in a disaster environment and to proceed down that road because it's not yet set up. Remittance agencies, they're currently provide 1.5 billion or more of the Haitian GNP comes from remittances. So people are very familiar with that process, how to go in and cash those funds. They also have the ability to send out SMSs, and so we are going through a remittance agency now to provide a cash grant for basic needs and asset replacement to a small group of families. And it's basically an e-voucher going paperless. We're piloting that, working through IOM and UN OCHA on the emergency relocation of the 9 priority camps, including the golf camp that you saw earlier, families that were in risk. We're monitoring that pilot, and potentially we can scale it up depending on many, many factors. It's a very complex operating environment domestically and internationally to decide which way to go forward because of the targeting issues. Planning and preparedness. The next disaster will happen. This is a settlement. We need to have the turnkey solution. It took a long time for us to get set up. And so hopefully this will propel us forward with the mobile banking. We'll be ready for the hurricane season. And I would argue that we're still in the relief phase. There's still a huge need, and we can push forward cash programming with technology for basic needs, cash for work as a payment system with technology, cash for shelter, cash for host families to help depopulate Port-au-Prince to keep families in other locations. A picture is worth 1,000 words. There's technology, a sat phone, a Red Cross reconnecting loved ones. And thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, I'm Sean Rankin. I'm with 1 Cent Banking, and unlike the people who were just speaking, we have an intention to go into Haiti, and we've been trying for a little while to see how we fit and where we can actually make the biggest impact. 1 Cent Banking is a company that was launched in 2009. We launched here in Washington, D.C. The founder, Lawrence Yanovich, came out of Gates Foundation. He had been there for 3 years, and he had spent $120 million seeding mobile programs, seeding microfinance opportunities. He's actually one of those few people who I think can rightly claim he's seen a little bit of everything in all the methods. So what we've done is we've created an advisory service to try to help with the problems, which include the tech selection, the model and licensing, just to be able to put out the service, the financing, the AML KYC, but also we'll go in and run it because sometimes we find that people have a little bit of trouble, they didn't expect ahead of time. So what is it that we want to do? We want to be technology agnostic. We want to provide the best service. We want to bring our skill sets to bear. And so for us, that's really 3 things. You know, it's microfinance, it's mobile banking, it's agent banking, it's things we've seen in the field, the best, the brightest, the best solutions. So we also have a lot of experience in emerging and frontier markets. We've made the mistakes. We've been out there, we've done it. We see where there are going to be problems. So we know how to make sure that things go a little better than they're supposed to go, and we can help you to avoid some of those issues. But we also have operational expertise. We know about finance. We can help you to put this together. We know how to make it run right. So we look at this mix and we say, we really are good at helping you to launch your businesses, be that we launch it for you or that we actually help you to get it done. So here's where we're operating today. We're operating in Malawi. We've got two mobile operators who are teaming up. We've got the central bank that's buying in. We're looking at Jordan right now, and then we've been, we're going a little faster, but we've been invited to take a look at some problems that other people are having, which is why we know we're out there. But ultimately, this is sort of a balanced viewpoint on what it is we're trying to do. So when it came to Haiti, we decided we could go in, but we couldn't go in unless we had a local partner. So what do? We went out and we actually found somebody who wanted to work with us on a larger platform. And the platform is services in addition to just technology. So we were going to bring our ball and bat. We were going to bring our own resources, $5 million of equity, $5 million of debt. We were going to go in and do it. What we needed were the other partners. And we've had a little bit of difficulty figuring out how to satisfy everybody's needs in this ecosystem. So we're patient, we're still working, we're trying to figure it out, and we really do want to get in there because the solution we're providing, we actually think is really the best solution. Now, when we start talking about what's happening in mobile banking, it really isn't as complex as everyone says, but it gets a little tricky because people put things in and out. So what typically happens is you have the central bank, which tends to be forgotten in the equation. You've got a bank or a mobile operator who are actually out there saying that we're just going to put in a layer of software, and if you build it, they will come. But the reality is that most operators don't actually have their own agents. It's the independent agents, the people who are actually out in the field who are selling airtime, but who are also selling milk, or who are selling juice, or who are selling something else. So we want to actually create a process that goes out and certifies them for AML KYC. And I hope someone will ask me a question about why that's important, a little bit later. But we want to actually let people plug in. And if we let you plug in, it's cheaper for you. We can actually make sure that there are more points of access. We can actually help to make sure that the banking system is more secure. there are a lot of pieces that go into making this work. And when everybody tries to do it themselves, it doesn't always happen. So no single person actually has all the sets of skills required to really put this system together. And I know Judy mentioned Kenya, but they didn't do it right when it came to AML KYC. They work in a gray zone. So it's not perfect there either, although it did scale, so give them credit. The second piece is the cost on this. What you're finding is those people who incrementally spend start to die off. And the reality is that when we talk about what the Haitian people need, they need something where they can have confidence. They want something to work. And quite frankly, you've seen bank failures. You're putting money in lottery houses. You need a system that you can trust. You need people to buy in. So I'm here both, offering to help. I'm here as an evangelist for the service. But we need people to work with. And if we're going to bring our resources and our expertise, we got to find a way to work into the system with all those players and work with guys like Brad, work with the other people who are here. So I hope that you guys will ask me some tough questions, and let's figure out how we can fit in and work together. Thanks.
Thank you. We are going to, you guys were awesome. We really appreciate those presentations. Everybody is rocking the Ignite style, by the way. This is very impressive. Let's start off again, as you guys take your seats, with some questions from the online audience. So, Matt.
Okay, question from the chat room on the live stream is in regards to shipping, getting money down to Haitians, or sending private goods. Is there anything you guys can talk about that?
I would say, and this is the party line basically, in USAID recently came out with a paper on our proclamation that cash is best, as far as providing cash to an organization that you trust, that you're aware of, that is operating in Haiti, and that is the most effective, efficient way to get aid into the hands of the Haitians.
And I think, I'm not sure, but I think PayPal actually has a service as well, and I don't know if you guys are plugged in or they're plugged into your platform, but I know there are lots of people that actually have an online platform that actually enables you to go in and put in your debit card or your credit card to enable the process to get down there. The key, the link, is actually having a system that lets you send it directly to one person, directly to their phone. And that's where the tie-in actually sort of fits.
I think we at Mobile Accord have an interesting opinion about how that can happen. It's not happening today, but leveraging the domestic business for giving, where people can text some monies on their US-based cell phone, billing that on behalf of the mobile operator for them, or via credit card or some way to credit this system that then has the opportunity to transfer money in country to the recipients directly to their cell phone. I think that's where we want to get to. And that's, I think, what we look at as this interoperable program.
International remittances, payments from overseas into any country, are a huge payment stream to help mobile money get going. So any mobile money operator, be it a third party, a cell phone company, or a bank-led system, is going to be looking at international payments as a key payment stream to tackle first to get scale.
Next question online is for Sean. Is there any way to, are there plans to be repaid for the loans? How does that work?
I'm not sure if the question might have, maybe, well, I guess if someone can ask the question better, I'm not sure if I understand it. Maybe you can help them out.
I think you said 5 million equity, 5 million debt. I assume debt means somebody's going to.
Oh, actually, in terms of that was basically our cash structuring for we were going to go in and build the platform. So this isn't money coming from the government. It's not money coming from anybody else. It was money sourced privately in the same way that any startup venture, any place in this country would go out. And we wanted a Haitian-led group. We wanted people with information and experience on the ground, and that's what we got. So we actually had people who were willing to work with it, but this is we're a double impact business. We want to provide a return on investment to the people who invest in us, and that's just another form of investment. So we were pretty confident we could hit our numbers and that we could do something special in Haiti and really provide a great value, something that was sustainable. So it was going to be paid back, but that was ultimately going to be between me and and our investors, frankly.
Other questions from the online audience, maybe?
I think that's kind of the genesis of these types of conversations, right? It's because there are places where you can go today to put money in the hands of, Haitians or most every other place in the world. The challenge is that it's expensive. You pay on the front end, you pay on the back end, both times. There's varying ways that people are getting charged. And Scott's point about the volume of money that's flowing into the country, rated at billions of dollars, there's a tariff on top of that that is, Western Union is being charged, or there's a number of other remittances. This is a platform that works in a much more efficient manner so that the costs associated with running the program and operating the platform put those costs at a more manageable level for the donor and the recipient. It's coming. I mean, I think that what you see today will be improved upon, but I can't give you a better answer than to say, right now that's your option.
And the challenge is not just sending it, but knowing your customer, the beneficiary on the other end. There's 400,000 households, 2.1 million people currently living in the settlements. So how do you send out one transfer, but there's many more that are needed. So if we're going to develop a system that can process that from here in the U.S., redirect an SMS to a Haitian, you need to know who they are and verify the need.
Two quick questions. One, Mike Catalano with Open Revolution. One question is about the competitive and political aspects, the components that were briefly mentioned in some of your presentations. And I know all of you are intimately aware of the political and competitive issues relating to mobile banking in Haiti. My question relates to how do you see independent service providers and NGO models flourishing in an environment with those competitive aspects? And do we take any lessons learned from Haiti's competitive environment forward for, really looking at the emergency response, that is cash for emergency, as Scott went into, and economic recovery aspects by having a coordinated approach? Second, the next question is, as the gentleman just asked, in terms of efficiency, have you done any metrics for how efficient mobile payments, as Judy mentioned, mobile money as a payment mechanism compare to the existing well-known channels that exist, the remittance and domestic remittance providers and the service providers on the ground like Foncouzet and others that are actually distributing cash pretty efficiently?
I think the first part of your question is really what we're trying to get out is this interoperable platform that allows for the flow of money. The goal is, at the end of the day, to create an awareness that banking and mobile banking as a component of banking is an opportunity for the Haitian people. They're not a community that uses banking today. I mean, the example I was saying, Scott alluded, or he mentioned about the queuing at the banks. We walk in, there's an ATM machine that's sitting there, nobody's using it. And I said to the gentleman who's running the bank, I said, how is it that people aren't using the ATM? He said, no, nobody has ATM cards, nobody's using the ATM. Their selling point, when someone comes into the bank and they say, hey, get an ATM card, you can get new money, because the money is very dirty. And just from the nature of being in the streets, the market exchange thing, it's just dirty. It's not bad money, it's just dirty. And that their selling point for ATM is get new money. It's not about registering. There's an awareness like you can come back tomorrow, your money will still be here, or this thing. So the idea of building a platform that works across multiple banks, across multiple operators, I think it's a viewpoint where people in each of the siloed approaches would see us evolving to. I think what Sean and I are talking about is starting at an interoperable place. And my goal is that we can create that awareness and create a foundation that people can build on. And then it is it is very scalable, and then it's repeatable. So you can go to that next place and work in another environment that starts.
I'd like to just be a little provocative. USAID is looking to actually this competition in the private sector to spur scaling. We've got plenty of competitors there, and frankly, we've got a huge demand that's even been increased because there's so many individuals and donors bringing money in pay for work, cash for work programs. USAID alone, on top of the donor program that we hear here, we're paying about 25,000 people a month, and that will go on for another 6 months. So there's some good payment streams that the private sector can take full advantage of. And we're hoping that they will. We're working with others to incent them to do so. We're working with the central bank as well to make sure that they're comfortable and it's a safe approach. As for interoperability, in the long run, that would be wonderful. We haven't actually seen interoperability at the outset of any mobile money initiative in any country, because usually whoever's bringing mobile money into a country or is already in there bringing it is looking for it to increase their market share and compete hard against the other providers. So to let those market forces work, and then to try to impose interconnectivity, interoperability right at the outset, that those two conflict. So it is a point of public policy debate. In the long run, of course, we all want interoperability, but it would be great to have a longer discussion on whether that's the way to go at the outset.
Yeah, and in terms of competition and in terms of sort of what we're talking about here, I mean, here's the question. You know, do you want to go ahead and let me, preface that by saying, I know the GSM very well. I know that most mobile operators don't like to hear, mentions of, interoperability because they're investing their money. They want to make sure that they're differentiating for their customers. There's a real issue for them with, seeing this. I mean, the way we look at it is a little bit nuanced, which is shared infrastructure, because nobody is actually out there auditing the agents and finding out if they're actually AML compliant. Now, here's the big deal, and I'm going to sort of jump into this, and then I'll come back to the competition piece, is that when international standard agencies send people into those countries to find out if that regulatory framework and that financial system is stable, they actually look at things like this. What's happening? Is there risk? Where's the risk? And that ends up impacting whether or not someone's debt is rated one thing or another, which means that the regulatory bodies get kind of scared when all of a sudden you start talking about people doing cash in and cash out outside of a bank or in an environment or just at a stand. And so there's a real issue there. And, we talk about Kenya. Kenya has scaled. It's done fantastically well. But when we see that M-Pesa is launching in South Africa, let's see if they go back and pick up some of the things that weren't done so well the first time through. And Michael Josephson from Safaricom said, we're walking on Mars. We're trying to figure this thing out, and what we're actually saying in really in a simplified way is we're trying to get you back. We're trying to get you back from Mars, and that's part of what we're talking about when we talk about a shared infrastructure solution. So the question of nonprofits, we want everybody to be able to plug in. We just want a platform that actually works. We want to make sure the services are there. We want to make sure that there are direct lines of reporting with the central bank. We want to take good care of all of the stakeholders in the system. But that also means customers, because when you go ahead and, if we talk